but we just don't think it's safe. And that's why we can't support it.
And on top of that, they don't think it's possible for us to do it without their help.
You can't just do that in a garage.
Porsche CEO Dr. Michael Leiters became the center of massive online discussion after comments connected to Porsche's future direction spread across the automotive world. What sounded like a normal corporate business statement quickly turned into something much bigger. Once car enthusiasts connected it to Mat Armstrong's Bugatti rebuild project. When Porsche announced plans to focus more heavily on its core business, internet audiences immediately believed the company was quietly stepping away from the growing controversy surrounding Bugatti and the wrecked Chiron Purse Sport that Mat Armstrong had spent months rebuilding on YouTube. Across social media, many viewers interpreted the statement almost like an indirect admission that the entire situation had damaged Bugatti's public image. Even though Porsche never directly attacked Mat Armstrong, the timing of the announcement created huge speculation online. YouTube channels, automotive forums, TikTok creators, and Reddit discussions exploded with theories connecting Porsche's financial struggles to the rebuild controversy. Suddenly, people were no longer only talking about a damaged hypercar. They were discussing whether one YouTuber had embarrassed billion-dollar automotive companies publicly. Porsche's profit problems made the situation even more dramatic. Reports showed that the company faced declining profits, weaker sales in important markets, and growing pressure to reduce costs. As these reports spread online, many viewers connected the financial struggles directly to Bugatti's aggressive position against independent repairs. Some internet users claimed Porsche was trying to distance itself from negative publicity surrounding the rebuild project. Others argued that the connection was exaggerated and that Porsche's decisions were purely financial. Still, the emotional narrative became impossible to stop because the internet loves stories where ordinary people challenge giant corporations successfully. Mat Armstrong unintentionally became the perfect symbol for that kind of story. The emotional power of the situation came from the contrast between Mat and the corporate world around him. Mat represented independent creativity, hands-on problem-solving, and passion for cars. Porsche and Bugatti represented giant institutions focused on control, brand protection, and corporate systems. Whether fair or unfair, millions of viewers emotionally sided with Mat because they watched his struggle directly through YouTube videos. Every repair, every fabricated component, and every breakthrough made audiences feel more connected to his journey. Meanwhile, Porsche's carefully worded corporate language sounded distant and cold by comparison. That difference shaped public opinion heavily. The internet transformed simple business statements into symbolic moments within a much larger cultural debate about ownership, repair rights, and corporate control. Many viewers believe Porsche's decision to step away from Bugatti-related ownership structures represented the collapse of the corporate wall standing behind Bugatti's hardline position against the rebuild. The phrase "focus on the core business" became one of the most repeated lines in automotive internet discussions, because people interpreted it emotionally rather than financially. Fans argued that companies have forgotten the passion and creativity that originally made car culture exciting. Mat Armstrong's rebuild reminded audiences of a more personal side of automotive enthusiasm, where ordinary people solved impossible problems using determination and skill. What started as a normal corporate statement, therefore, became one of the biggest talking points in the entire story. The rebuild itself only became more dramatic after Porsche's comments entered the public conversation. Mat Armstrong never expected that rebuilding a crashed hypercar would place him in the center of one of the biggest conversations in the automotive world. What started as a YouTube rebuild project slowly turned into a story involving billion-dollar companies, corporate pride, engineering debates, and the growing fight over who really owns a car after it leaves the factory. The entire situation became even bigger when comments connected to Porsche's leadership began spreading across the internet. Suddenly, people were no longer only talking about a damaged Bugatti Chiron Purse Sport. They were talking about the future of luxury car companies, the right to repair expensive vehicles, and whether ordinary mechanics could challenge systems created by giant corporations. The story became emotional because it represented something much larger than one damaged car. On one side stood Bugatti, a company known for producing some of the rarest and most advanced hypercars ever made. On the other side stood Mat Armstrong, a self-taught YouTuber from Leicester who built his audience by fixing cars many people believed could never return to the road. When news spread that Porsche planned to step away from its ownership role connected to Bugatti Rimac, the internet quickly connected that decision to the rebuild drama. Even though the official statements from Porsche were focused on business and financial priorities, online viewers interpreted those words in a completely different way. They believed Porsche was indirectly admitting that Bugatti's fight against Mat Armstrong had damaged the company's image. That idea exploded across YouTube, Reddit, car forums, TikTok, and social media discussions. Millions of viewers became fascinated by the idea that a normal person with tools, patience, and determination could stand against one of the world's most powerful automotive brands. The emotional power of the story came from the feeling that Mat represented regular enthusiasts, while Bugatti represented corporate control. Viewers watched every episode of the rebuild not only because they loved cars, but because they wanted to see whether passion and creativity could overcome money and institutional power. The Bugatti Chiron Per Sport involved in the project was one of the rarest cars in existence, making the situation even more dramatic. The car had been badly crashed in Miami and was considered beyond repair by many people. The damage included destroyed front-end components, deployed airbags, structural issues, and serious mechanical problems. Insurance companies treated the car as a complete loss. Normally, cars like this are either broken for parts or hidden away forever. But the owner of the car decided to give it another chance. Instead of sending it back to Bugatti, he contacted Mat Armstrong. That decision changed everything. Mat understood immediately that this would become the most difficult rebuild of his entire career. Unlike normal cars, Bugatti vehicles are surrounded by strict rules, expensive components, and highly controlled repair systems. The company believed that only trained specialists with factory equipment should work on these vehicles. Bugatti argued that the engineering complexity and safety requirements were too advanced for independent rebuilders. From the company's perspective, the concern was not only about fixing a car, it was about protecting future owners, preserving safety standards, and maintaining the reputation of the brand. Mat, however, believed the car deserved another chance. He admitted that he did not have special training or factory support, but he also believed skill, patience, and problem-solving could overcome obstacles that many considered impossible. This disagreement between corporate control and independent repair became the heart of the story. Every new video uploaded by Mat Armstrong added more tension to the debate. Each successful repair step made viewers feel that the impossible was slowly becoming possible. As the audience grew larger, the rebuild became much more than entertainment. It became a symbol of determination and independent creativity in a world increasingly controlled by large companies and complicated technology. The rebuild itself quickly became one of the most talked about automotive projects on YouTube because the challenges were unlike anything viewers had seen before. Mat Armstrong and his team were not working on an ordinary sports car. They were attempting to rebuild a Bugatti Chiron Per Sport, a machine designed with extreme engineering standards and advanced technology. The moment Mat first inspected the damaged car in Miami, it was obvious that the situation was serious. The front section of the vehicle had suffered major impact damage. Structural components made from carbon fiber were cracked or destroyed. The transmission housing had serious damage. Airbags had deployed throughout the cabin. Important cooling systems were ruined, and several parts were either impossible to find or impossible to purchase legally through official Bugatti channels. Most mechanics would have walked away immediately. Even experienced supercar specialists considered the project unrealistic. But Mat Armstrong built his online reputation by accepting challenges that other people avoided. His viewers had already watched him rebuild Lamborghinis, Ferraris, McLarens, and other expensive vehicles. However, the Bugatti project existed on another level completely. The cost of replacement parts alone shocked audiences. Reports suggested that the official repair bill could exceed millions of dollars. The car itself was worth an incredible amount of money because only a small number existed worldwide. Every decision carried huge financial risks. One mistake could destroy rare components permanently. At the same time, Bugatti reportedly blocked the vehicle's VIN number from receiving factory parts through normal dealership systems. This decision created massive controversy online because many people believed the company was actively trying to stop the rebuild from happening. Bugatti's position focused on safety and engineering concerns. They argued that the car's structural systems required specialized repair processes unavailable in normal garages. Company representatives explained that certain damage could not simply be repaired using common methods because hypercars operate at extremely high speeds and require absolute precision. Mat Armstrong, the CEO connected to Bugatti Rimac, publicly acknowledged that he respected Mat Armstrong and enjoyed his content, but he also emphasized the dangers involved in rebuilding a crashed Chiron without factory oversight. Those comments became viral online because they sounded both respectful and critical at the same time. Viewers interpret the situation differently depending on their perspective. Some believe Bugatti was protecting public safety responsibly. Others believe the company was protecting its image and business model by controlling who could repair its cars. Meanwhile, Matt continued filming every stage of the rebuild process. He and his team fabricated parts manually, searched for compatible components, repaired damaged sections, and solved technical problems one by one. One famous moment involved discovering that certain airbag components shared similarities with parts used in less expensive Audi models. Another major milestone occurred when the team managed to separate sections of the car in ways Bugatti claimed only a few facilities worldwide could perform. These moments created huge excitement because viewers felt they were witnessing barriers being broken in real time. Every successful repair step increased support for Mat Armstrong across the automotive community. Fans admired not only his mechanical ability, but also his willingness to take risks publicly. Unlike traditional automotive companies, Matt showed every failure, every mistake, and every frustrating setback on camera. This honesty helped viewers connect emotionally with the project. Instead of watching a polished corporate presentation, audiences watched real people struggling to solve real problems. The rebuild slowly transformed into a larger symbol about independent repair culture. People who had never cared about hypercars suddenly became interested in questions surrounding ownership, repair rights, and corporate control. The Bugatti rebuild represented a growing frustration many consumers already felt in other industries where companies limited independent repairs and restricted access to parts, software, and technical information as the rebuild gained millions of views online. The conversation slowly expanded beyond the automotive world and entered a larger debate surrounding right-to-repair laws and corporate control. Many viewers realized that the same frustrations visible in the Bugatti story also existed in technology, farming equipment, consumer electronics, and modern vehicles. Large companies increasingly controlled repairs through software locks, restricted parts access, dealership-only servicing, and legal limitations. The Bugatti situation became a perfect example because the conflict was easy to understand emotionally. A damaged car existed. Someone wanted to repair it, and the manufacturer did not fully support that effort. This simple conflict allowed millions of people to connect with the story instantly. Mat Armstrong unintentionally became a symbol for independent repair culture. He never claimed to be leading a political movement, yet his rebuild series represented many frustrations ordinary people already had with corporations. Audiences saw a passionate mechanic using creativity and determination while facing barriers created by a powerful company. The emotional contrast was extremely effective for online storytelling. Many American viewers especially connected with the idea because American culture often celebrates underdogs fighting against giant institutions. The rebuild videos constantly reinforced this emotional structure. Matt and his team worked long hours fabricating components, testing solutions, and overcoming setbacks while massive corporations argued that the project should not continue. Every small success felt like a victory against impossible odds. The internet responded strongly because viewers were tired of hearing that modern products could only be repaired by approved systems. In farming communities, people had already criticized companies like John Deere for restricting tractor repairs through software controls. In consumer electronics, Apple faced years of criticism for limiting independent iPhone repairs. Modern electric vehicles also increased concerns because software systems allowed manufacturers greater control over maintenance and servicing. The Bugatti rebuild entered this larger cultural conversation at the perfect moment. Instead of reading legal articles or watching political debates, audiences saw the issue presented through an exciting real-world story involving one of the world's most expensive hypercars. The entertainment value helped the message spread much further than traditional activism could achieve. Even people who knew nothing about legislation became emotionally invested in repair rights simply because they wanted to see the Chiron return to life. Social media discussions exploded after each new video upload. Forums debated whether Bugatti's actions were justified. Some viewers defended the company, arguing that hypercars require specialized knowledge because safety risks at extremely high speeds are serious. Others believe manufacturers should never have the power to block repairs once a customer legally owns a vehicle. The controversy became even more dramatic when Porsche's financial struggles entered the public conversation. Reports showed major profit declines and growing pressure on the company to simplify operations and focus on its core business. When Porsche announced plans connected to reducing its involvement with Bugatti Rimac, online communities immediately linked the decision to the Mat Armstrong controversy. Even though financial analysts understood the business reasons were much larger and more complicated, the internet preferred the emotional narrative. People wanted to believe that the rebuild project had embarrassed giant corporations publicly. Whether that interpretation was accurate mattered less than the fact that millions accepted it emotionally. This is one reason the story became so powerful online. Modern internet culture often turns complicated business decisions into simple emotional narratives that audiences can understand quickly. In this case, the narrative became very clear. A self-taught YouTuber fought against corporate restrictions and somehow survived long enough to watch the corporate structure itself begin changing. That storyline felt cinematic and satisfying for viewers. The Rebuild series succeeded because it combined entertainment with larger themes people already cared about. Instead of presenting dry discussions about ownership laws, it showed sparks flying in workshops, damaged hypercars being rebuilt piece by piece, and ordinary people refusing to accept defeat. The emotional energy created by those images helped transform the Bugatti rebuild from a normal YouTube project into one of the biggest automotive internet stories of recent years. The role of Porsche in the entire situation added another layer of drama, because many viewers believed the company represented the traditional corporate structure standing behind Bugatti's strict position. Porsche had ownership involvement connected to Bugatti Rimac, and this relationship gave internet communities an easy target when financial problems at Porsche became public. During 2025 and 2026, reports showed that Porsche faced major challenges, including declining profits, weaker demand in certain markets, and pressure connected to electric vehicle strategies. Suddenly, headlines appeared discussing cost-cutting measures, restructuring decisions, and plans to focus more directly on the company's main business operations. When executives use phrases like focus on the core business, online audiences immediately connected those comments to the Bugatti controversy. In reality, giant automotive corporations make decisions based on complex financial calculations involving global markets, investment priorities, manufacturing strategies, and long-term planning. However, the internet rarely responds to technical business explanations emotionally. Instead, viewers search for symbolic meaning in every public statement. Many people interpreted Porsche's exit from Bugatti-related ownership structures as an indirect sign that the company wanted distance from a negative publicity surrounding the rebuild debate. Whether this interpretation was accurate became almost irrelevant because the online narrative had already formed. YouTube channels, forums, TikTok creators, and automotive influencers repeated the same emotional storyline constantly. According to this version of events, Mat Armstrong had exposed how fragile corporate image management could become when challenged publicly by determined creators with massive audiences. Every time Porsche's financial difficulties were discussed, viewers connected those problems back to the Bugatti rebuild story. Some people even exaggerated the connection dramatically, claiming the controversy itself influenced billion-dollar decisions. Financial experts would likely reject such claims immediately because the scale of global automotive business decisions extends far beyond internet drama. Still, emotional storytelling on the internet often becomes more influential than technical accuracy. The situation became fascinating because it revealed how modern media works. A YouTube rebuild project involving one damaged car somehow became connected in public discussion to global corporations, investment firms, electric vehicle strategies, and luxury brand management. This transformation showed the growing power of online creators. 20 years ago, a self-taught mechanic rebuilding a damaged hypercar would have remained a niche story for car enthusiasts. But platforms like YouTube changed everything. Millions of viewers could now follow every stage of a rebuild in real time, forming emotional connections stronger than traditional advertising campaigns. Mat Armstrong's audience trusted him because they watched the entire process honestly. They saw mistakes, frustration, excitement, and progress directly through his videos. Corporate companies, meanwhile, often communicated through carefully controlled public relations statements that felt distant and less personal. This difference gave independent creators enormous emotional advantages online. Mat appeared human and relatable, while corporations appeared cold and protective. The emotional imbalance influenced how viewers interpreted every new development. Even neutral corporate statements sounded defensive once audiences emotionally chose sides. Porsche's leadership probably never expected ordinary business announcements to become connected to YouTube rebuild videos. Yet, that is exactly what happened. The internet transformed separate events into one combined narrative about corporations losing touch with enthusiasts. The phrase "focus on the core business" became especially powerful online because viewers interpreted it almost like a surrender. Many fans argue that companies have forgotten what originally made car culture exciting. They believed passion, creativity, experimentation, and mechanical skill mattered more than strict corporate control. Mat Armstrong represented those values perfectly. His workshop looked nothing like a futuristic factory, yet viewers loved watching real tools, handmade fabrication, and practical problem solving. The rebuild reminded audiences that incredible engineering achievements still depended on ordinary human effort. This emotional connection helped the series continue growing long after the initial shock of the crash faded. People no longer watched only to see if the Bugatti could be fixed. They watched because the rebuild represented larger questions about ownership, technology, and the future relationship between corporations and enthusiasts. One of the biggest reasons the story became so successful online was the personality and presentation style of Mat Armstrong himself. Unlike traditional automotive journalists or corporate executives, Mat appeared approachable, honest, and relatable. He did not present himself as a genius engineer or luxury expert. Instead, he openly admitted when situations felt difficult or uncertain. This honesty created trust with viewers because audiences could see genuine emotion rather than carefully controlled branding. Mat's content style focused heavily on documenting the process honestly. He showed damaged components, failed repair attempts, fabrication work, stress, excitement, and unexpected discoveries. This transparency allowed viewers to feel